Hello everyone, this is Vinayak again back with a new topic, that is the the fourth chapter, agriculture, from your geography textbook. And now today we are going to discuss about agriculture. Agriculture, here we are going to learn in this chapter about the types of agriculture, and then various methods and various types of farming, and then what are the crops grown in our country, and all these things we are going to learn. And even we are going to learn about the cropping patterns which are used in our country and what is the output. All these things we are going to learn, and along with the slides what we have to learn today. So agriculture in India, before starting this, we are going to know about, as we all know, agriculture is a very ancient practice in our country. Right from the civilization, man has been cultivating, and then he learned how to grow crops, and then he became self-sufficient. The same way, India also has a very big history regarding agriculture. And as of present situations, in present day also, in India, more than two-thirds of population is engaged in agricultural occupation. So that's why we say India is an agriculturally important country. Agriculture produces most of the food that we consume. Agriculture also produces raw materials for various industries. Here we need to understand one thing. As we all know that India is the second largest populated country in the world. That is, we have population more than 130 crores. So for all these people, is the food grains or all the crops, are they sufficient for the people to consume? Yes, we are able to make it sufficient. So India is a self sufficient country, even though we import few of the food products, even though we are able to have the sufficiency what we grow. That's why the point says agriculture produces most of the food that we consume. So now, as we discussed, India is the second in the world in crop output, next to China. China is number one in population. India is number two in the population of the world. So the same way, even crop output also, China is the number one, India is the number two. And then 1.4 million square kilometers of land in India is under cultivation. Agriculture is India's biggest economic sector and employs 52.1% of total workforce. So total workforce means, even though we have even though we have two-thirds of our population engaged in agricultural occupation, maybe it might be directly or indirectly. Now this 52.1% is about the people who are engaged directly in the agricultural sector. Now we shall learn about the types of farming. Even though we have so much of history in the past, over years cultivation methods in India have changed significantly depending upon the characteristics of physical environment, technological know-how and socio-cultural practices. Now children, you might have seen the agriculture being sown or the seeds are being sown or all the agricultural work is done in the farms. What you see right now in the agricultural lands, what do you see generally? You are seeing now tractors and they are plowing the soil and then they are sowing the seeds, harvesting also. Various machineries are put to the attached to the tractors and then they are doing all the agricultural work. But in the past, what was it? Even in the past they were using domestic animals like the bulls and they had various agricultural tools and they used to have the wooden plows. With the plow they used to plow the land and till the land, then sow the seeds with hand only, and it used to take a lot of time. And now because so much technology has come up, so many machineries have come up, so we have lot of technological know-how, means so many types of sowing machines, harvesting machines and then plowing machines. All these machines are used. So here industries are helping the farmers to get better and faster output. So now what is about physical environment? Physical environment means again it depends on the geographical conditions of the soil, of the land, then fertility of the soil. What are the minerals available in that particular region or in the soil where the crops are grown? And along with it, the major important factor is the climatic conditions, the rainfall and then other things, precipitation and the temperature. All these things are most important things required for the agricultural work. And socio-cultural practices. What is this? This is about, as India is a large vast country with so much of diversity, where different types of people, different types of climate, different types of culture. So as per the availability of all these conditions and characteristics, they are going to decide what they are going to grow in those farms. So that's why even there is a lot of importance for the socio-cultural practices. Farming varieties for from subsistence to commercial farming. At present, in different parts of India, the following farming systems are practiced. The first one is primitive subsistence farming. Second one is intensive subsistence farming. Third one is commercial farming. So here first we shall know what is primitive subsistence farming. This type of farming is still practiced in few places in India. It is practiced on small patches of land. Here patches means small pieces of land with the help of primitive tools like hoe, dowel and digging sticks and family community labor. Here these are all old traditional tools. They were called as hoe, dowel, digging sticks. What I was telling you, that the plows, wooden plows, all such type of tools are used and it is taken care by only the family and a small community from where the labor used to come and work. This type of farming only depends on the monsoon, that is the natural rain, natural fertility. They won't use any pesticides, insecticides or any other material for the soil. So they use as it is, whatever the soil has, the fertility that is used, and suitability of other environmental conditions. Means here completely these type of farmers are depending only on the nature and only with the available natural resources, and it is also called as slash and burn cultivation. What do you mean by slash and burn cultivation? Once if they feel that soil is losing its fertility all after the harvesting of a particular crop, what they do, they burn all the residue remaining crop. After they harvest the remaining part, they burn it, and then farmers clear the patch, whatever they have burned they clear it, and then they produce the crops whatever they have grown, which is sufficient only for their family. They won't sell the crops, that is sufficient only for them. So when soil fertility decreases, the farmer shift and start cultivating in the same way on a fresh patch of land. They will shift the farming into the next part of the land. This allows nature to replenish the fertility of the soil. So what happens, whatever the leftover patch where they had already grown in the previous years, it has lost all its fertility. So they burn the remaining and leave it as it is. So again the temperature rises, decreases, again the natural way, and then rainfall comes, it rains, again the soil gets mixed up with the moisture of the atmosphere, and again it will gain its fertility after few years. So that's why they will be shifting from one place to another. We can say it as shifting agriculture also, because they will be shifting their land. So it is also called as slash and burn cultivation. Farmers clear a patch of land and produce crops to sustain their family. When soil fertility decreases, the farmers shift and start cultivation in the same way on a fresh patch of land. This allows nature to replenish the fertility of the soil. Productivity in this type of farming is low as fertilizers are not used. Modern inputs are not utilized. So they go with the natural system of farming. And now different names of slash and burn cultivation. So they call it as, for example, in northeastern states, Jumming, Pamlo, Deepa, all these things are available in your textbook. That is in the first page itself in your textbook. That is almost page number, we say in your textbook page number 34, page number, you have all the names, you can go through it and learn. Intensive subsistence farming, the next one. This type of farming is practiced in your in areas of high population, pressure on land. What does this mean? High population, pressure on land. Pressure on land means here land geographically the land is very less and population is more, means dependence for the produce are more than the sufficiency of the land. So it is a labor intensive farming where labor work more and then high doses of biochemical inputs and irrigation are used for obtaining higher production. To increase the production, they use like biochemical inputs, means like the pesticides and then urea, what we call, and many other chemicals are used to increase the production, in less time period. So for that even labor also is required more for it. Though the right of inheritance in our country, what happens generally, for example, a person is the only son for a father, so he might be owning some 10 acres. Afterwards he had two sons. Then again that land was divided to the both of the sons. It became 5 acres. And then again the same families, they get multiplied, and then due to that during inheritance the measurement of land is decreasing and number of people are increasing. So though the right of inheritance leading to division of land, so here lot of land is divided among the family members. So in the successive generations has rendered land holding size uneconomical. So land holding is decreasing here. Before that person used to have 10 acres. Now his family has been multiplied. So each family member may have 2 acres or 1 acre each. Now after 2 or 3 generations. So what happens? The farmer has to continue to take maximum output from the limited land in the absence of alternative source of livelihood. So he doesn't want to go for any other occupation. He has to continue for the agriculture. So he is having less quantity of land, but he needs more production. So for that he is using lot of biochemical products. Thus this is enormous pressure on the agricultural land. So they are giving lot of pressure to the land to give more output. And next one is commercial farming. In this type of farming, higher doses of modern inputs like HYV seeds, other than the fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, and high yielding variety seeds. HYV seeds means higher yielding variety seeds, by which they are technically they are planned and prepared in the labs, and then they see highest variety of yielding are used in order to obtain higher productivity. The degree of commercialization varies from region to region. See here the way of making HYV seeds means the scientists are agricultural scientists. They will do research. They will take 2-3 varieties of good varieties of the product, like whether they are fruits or vegetables or food grains. The best parts are selected, and then they do the crossing, and then they grow it, and then they bring the production, they bring the crop, and then from that produce they take out the seeds for next crop. So these seeds are called high yielding variety seeds. For example, rice is a commercial crop on Punjab and Haryana, but in Orissa it is a subsistence crop. See here the coastal regions, most of the eastern part of India, we have all rice as a subsistence crop. Whereas if you go to Punjab or Haryana, they come under Gangetic plain, lot of rich alluvial soil. They are on the delta regions where they grow more sugarcane and wheat, but they want to grow rice. So best variety of rice they are growing there. So it is a commercial crop for them. And just I would like to share now whatever basmati rice is a kind of rice only, but it is a very expensive type of rice in our country. So whenever we eat like biryanis or pulaus, they prepare it by using basmati rice, and basmati rice comparatively with the regular rice, it is very expensive, maybe more than the cost might be more than 2 times. Why? Because it is a very good yielding part. So that's why they grow more of basmati rice in the North India, that is Punjab and Haryana. and the best basmati rice is grown in Pakistan, and second in India, that is from Punjab. So now coming to next part, plantations. Plantation is a type of commercial crop, commercial farming. It is the type of farming in which a single crop is grown on a large area. The plantation has a interface of agriculture and industry. Interface means both are used, and plantation use capital intensive inputs with the help of migrant laborers. Migrant laborers means coming from other parts of the country. All the produce is used as material in respective industries. For example, tea, coffee, bamboo and rubber, all these come under plantations. Tea plantations in Assam and North Bengal, coffee plantations in Karnataka, banana plantations in southern part of India, rubber plantations in Kerala, bamboo plantations in northeastern India, etc. are some important plantation crops grown in India. See, regarding plantation, we have large history. During the British, which used to, when British ruled our country, many laborers were shifted from here forcibly from India to African countries. That's why you see a lot of Indians settled there in the parts of African countries and many islands like Fiji and Sri Lanka. You find more Indians origin people settled down there because they were shifted there or they were the migrated laborers working for plantations. And Africa is rich in cocoa plantations. Cocoa. What is cocoa? The cocoa powder is only cocoa seeds are used to manufacture chocolates today. So cocoa is a very important crop for them. Since the production is mainly for the market, a well developed network of transport communication connecting the plantation areas, processing industries and market is present. Means in these plantations many of the products they are not readily consumable, they have to be processed. For example, tea, how we are using tea, we buy tea powder, but how they are getting tea powder, coffee powder, cocoa powder, we are buying powder. But before that, tea is produced from a leaf, it has to be dried, then it has to be into process for in various stages, and finally it is made into powder. The same way coffee seeds or cocoa seeds, they have to get dried up first, then they have to roast, they have to get roasted, and then they will be grinded and powder will be made. So afterwards it is brought to the market. So all this networking is important with the industrialization also, because they need transportation, they need all this process has to be made. So for that separate small scale industries are there which they are going to support to these plantations. Now, what are the cropping patterns in India? India has three cropping seasons. They are Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. See, all our cropping patterns are depending on our monsoon. Mainly India is depending on the monsoon. So we have a very unifying bond with our monsoon. So our culture is depending on that. Our occupation is depending on the monsoon. So that's why we have a very good bonding with our traditions and cultures also. Because even we celebrate our festivals depending on these cropping pattern, cropping seasons along with the monsoon. Now, the first one is Rabi crops. Rabi crop is generally sown in winter. that is they start from October to December, and the harvesting will be in the summer from April to June or July. So important crops of Rabi are wheat, barley, peas, gram and mustard. What do you mean by mustard? Every day your mother cooks food, in that mustard is the major thing required first. In Telugu we call avalu, right? Mustard is very important. So such states such as Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Western Uttar Pradesh are main Rabi crop, that is mainly wheat producing states. They produce only wheat. Availability of precipitation during winter months due to the western temperate cyclones help in the success of these crops. So again what we discussed, this is depending on the monsoon. So precipitation means the climatic conditions. What is the temperature required for a particular crop to grow? So all these things depend on the monsoon only. So the success of green revolution in Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh and parts of Rajasthan has been an important factor in the growth of Rabi crops. So success of green revolution in Punjab, and these states, green revolution means availability of the biochemicals, and wherever land was vacant they started growing crops using all the technology and then using all the systems what way we have to follow in our country. So that's why there was a lot of production increase in the previous years. So that's why it was called as green revolution. Now kharif crops sown with the onset of monsoon in different parts of country and harvesting in generally in September and October. So important crops are paddy, maize, jowar, bajra, tur, arhar, moong, urad, cotton, jute, groundnut and soya bean. Some of the most important rice growing regions are Assam, West Bengal, coastal region of Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Maharashtra, particularly in the Konkan coast along with Uttar Pradesh and Bihar also. Recently, paddy has become an important crop of Punjab and Haryana. Previously we discussed about rice production in Punjab and Haryana. They became the commercial crops of those areas. In states like Assam, West Bengal and Orissa, 3 crops of paddy are grown in a year. So that's why they call it as Aus, Aman and Boro. These 3 seasons, crops of paddy seasons, they are called as Aus, Aman and Boro. Zaid is the time period which has a gap between the Kharif and Rabi season. It's a short span of time. So that's why smaller crops are grown where the output or the harvesting is early. So Zaid season is a short season between Rabi and Kharif during summer months. Crops produced are watermelon, muskmelon, cucumber, vegetables and fodder crops. So what are the major crops in our country? India produces 51 major crops in our country. A variety of food and non-food crops are grown in different parts of the country depending on the variations in the soil, climate and cultivation practices. Major crops grown in India are rice, wheat, millets, maize, pulses. So for all these we can call as grains. Then the other one is sugarcane, oil seeds, tea, coffee, horticulture crops which we call as food crops other than grain. Food crops other than grains. Then what are non-food crops? Non-food crops are rubber, fiber crops, cotton, jute. These are non-food, means we are not consuming it directly. So these are called non-food crops. Now first we are going to learn about rice. Staple food crop of majority of people in India. India is the second largest producer in the world after China. So it's a kharif crop which requires high temperature about 25 degrees Celsius. Above 25 degrees temperature compulsorily it should have, and high humidity with annual rainfall of above 100 centimeters. It should have more rainfall, it should have about 25 degrees centigrade, and humidity should be more. So what is that? Where you find more humidity in our country? Generally in the coastal areas. In the coastal areas. What do you mean by humidity? Now whenever we visit a coastal area, what do we see? We sweat a lot. Why do we sweat a lot? Because we are losing our minerals and salts from our body in the form of water. Because due to the rise in temperature and due to the humidity we are sweating. Such type of climate is required for rice cultivation. And also it should have good rainfall also, above 100 centimeters rainfall in a year. And generally it takes 130 to 150 days for a complete harvest of a paddy crop. So when they sow the paddy, from there it takes around 130 days to 150 days. Again these 20 days also they are depending upon the fertilizers used. So growth in plains of north and northern eastern India, coastal areas and deltaic region, development of dense network of canal irrigation and tubewells have made it possible to grow rice in areas of less rainfall such as Punjab, Haryana and western Uttar Pradesh and parts of Rajasthan. So where there is no coastal area, there also it is people are making it possible. Why? Because of many irrigational facilities. So in your textbook you find the maps which have the rice cultivation areas and all, and I request all of you to practice the maps also. Now next is wheat. Wheat is the second most important cereal crop in our country. So here generally you see, when we ask what is your staple food, in South India people say rice, in North India people say roti, that is it may be wheat or any other grains. So but mainly India is the second most important cereal crop in our country. After paddy you find wheat only. So main food crop in north and northwestern part of the country, requires cool growing season and bright sunshine at ripening time, requires 50 to 75 centimeters of annual rainfall evenly distributed over the growing season. And important wheat growing zones are Ganga Satluj plains and black soil region in the Deccan. Major wheat producing states: Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan and parts of Madhya Pradesh. Only parts of Madhya Pradesh, but Madhya Pradesh produces a very good quality of wheat, what we generally find even now when you go outside the market, we call it as bansi. It's a kind of wheat which is bansi, sharbati. These are the two names of the types of the wheat where you find most of them are from Madhya Pradesh. When you go to the market, you inquire, you will know these two names much. So this is the map you need to practice for the wheats. And now coming up, next one is we are going to go for the millets. What are millets? Jawar, bajra and ragi are the most important millets. You find the pictures over the slides. Though these are known as coarse grains, we call them as coarse grains. They have very high nutritional value. Ragi is rich in iron, calcium and other micronutrients and roughage. It is a crop of dry region where it is not required much rainfall. Grows well on red, black, sandy, loamy and shallow soils. Karnataka is the largest producer, followed by Tamil Nadu, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Jharkhand and Arunachal Pradesh are the important ragi producing states. And even with ragi, they prepare various types of food which is very nutritional. So jawar, next one is jawar is the third most important food crop with respect to area and production. After wheat, first paddy, then wheat, third one comes jawar. So food crop with respect to area and production. It is a rain-fed crop grown in moist areas. Maharashtra is the largest producer of jawar, followed by Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Bajra grows well on sandy soils and shallow black soil. Rajasthan is the largest producer, followed by Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Haryana. Next is maize. What is maize? You know all, we call it as corn. Used as both food and fodder. Kharif crop which requires temperature between 21 and 27 degrees Celsius and grows well in alluvial soil. In states like Bihar, it is grown as a rabi crop also. Use of modern inputs like HYV seeds, fertilizers and irrigation have contributed to increasing production of maize. Major maize producing states are Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Next is pulses. Pulses means here what we use for generally dal and other food items. India is the largest producer as well as consumer of pulses in the world. These are major sources of protein in a vegetarian diet. It is very rich in proteins. Major pulses grown in India are tur we call. In Telugu we call kandipappu. In Kannada we call hesaru bali. Marathi we call turicha dal, like that, or we even call it as arhar. And then udad, moong, masoor. Udad is your the white color dal. Moong is a small size yellow color dal. Masoor dal is the red color. And then peas, you know very well, and gram. Pulses need less moisture and survive even in dry conditions. All these crops except arhar help in restoring soil fertility by fixing nitrogen from the air, because of which it is grown in rotation with other crops. Because if continuously arhar is grown, the soil loses all its fertility because all the nitrogen is taken away by those crops. So that's why the farmers, what they do, they put rotational crops to bring back the fertility. Major pulse producing states in India are Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Coming up, sugar cane. It is a tropical as well as subtropical crop. That is why we call tropical subtropical, because Tropic of Cancer is passing from our country, exactly center of the country, and where we have different climatic conditions. So South India is having one type of climate, North India is having one climate. So that's why these two types of climates we call it as tropical and subtropical climates. So sugarcane grows in both the climates. It grows well in hot and humid climate with a temperature of 21 to 27 degrees Celsius and annual rainfall between 75 centimeters and 100 centimeters. Can be grown on variety of soils and need manual labor for sowing to harvest. India is the second largest producer after Brazil. Main source of sugar cane from which we produce sugar, jaggery and khansari and molasses. See here, you all know what is sugar, you all know what is jaggery, khansari, a kind of sugar, unprocessed we call it, and then molasses is the residue or the leftover in the sugar factories. Molasses is mainly used in manufacturing alcoholic drinks and few things they even use in the pharma companies. Major sugar producing states are Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Punjab and Haryana. Next comes tea. Example of a plantation crop. Important beverage crop introduced in India by the British. Tea plant grows well in tropical and subtropical climates, endowed with deep and fertile drained soil, rich in humus and organic material. Why we call it here drained soil? Drained soil means here they are in the hilly regions. They are grown in the hilly regions. These hilly regions generally they have a lot of slopes. So lot of soil erosion takes place in these areas. So all the soil from the upper part of the hills they get drained while during rainfall or any streams coming down. Then these soil what it has settled down near the foothills, there these plantations are grown. Tea bushes require warm and moist free climate throughout the year. Tea requires abundant, cheap and skilled labor. Tea is processed within tea garden to restore its freshness. Major tea producing states are Assam, hills of Darjeeling and Jalpaiguri districts of West Bengal and Tamil Nadu and Kerala. India is the leading producer as well as exporter of tea in the world. Coffee. Next one. India produces about 4% of world's coffee. Indian coffee is known as the known in the world for its good quality. The Arabica variety, one variety is produced in our country. Brought from, these seeds were brought from Yemen, is produced in India. This variety has a very large demand in the world. Its cultivation was initially introduced on the Baba Budan hills and even today its cultivation is confined to Nilgiri in Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. You see in the slide the shape of the coffee seeds and the picture of the plantations. Next is finally horticulture plants, crops. India is the largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world. India is a producer of tropical as well as temperate fruits. Fruits are in great demand always. Mangoes of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. Oranges of Nagpur and Cherrapunji. Bananas of Kerala, Mizoram, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. Lychee and guava of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Pineapples of Meghalaya. Grapes of Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra. Apples, pears, apricots and walnuts of Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh. India produces 13% of world's vegetables. It is an important producer of peas, cauliflower, onion, cabbage, tomato, brinjal and potato. Then rubber, it is an equatorial climate, but under special condition it is also grown in tropical and subtropical areas. Required moist and humid climate with rainfall of more than 200 centimeters and temperature about 25 degrees. It needs more rainfall. So that's why it is more grown in Kerala, because it is in the coastal belt. It is an important industrial raw material for us, right from a balloon to tire of an aircraft. We need rubber. It is the raw material. So it is mainly grown in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Garo Hills of Meghalaya. India ranks 5th among the world's natural rubber producers. So here there is a pie diagram where you see natural rubber where it is used. See, tires and tubes, cycle tires and tubes, camel backs, footwear, belts and horses, latex foams, dipped goods, others. And here again latex is a major raw material for bigger industries. Then fiber crops, cotton, jute, hemp and natural silk are the 4 major fiber crops grown in India. The first 3 are derived from crops grown in the soil. First 3 means cotton, jute and hemp. Silk is obtained from cocoons. Silkworms fed only on the green leaves, especially of mulberry fruit. Then rearing of silkworms from the production of silk fiber is also known as sericulture. Then cotton. India is believed to be original home of cotton plant, one of the main raw material for cotton textile industry. India is the 3rd largest producer of cotton in the world. Cotton grows well in drier parts of black soil of Deccan Plateau. Requires high temperature, light rainfall, 210 frost free days. It takes 210 frost free days and bright sunshine for growing. Kharif crop requires 8 to 10 months to mature a complete cotton crop. Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Tamil Nadu and Uttar Pradesh are the major cotton producing states. You know, India has a past history where India was the number 1 in textile production even before the stage of industrialization, only from handlooms, because the famous emperors, empresses, royal people used to wear Indian textile clothes only during up to 16th and 17th century till industrialization came. And India used to produce more than 100 varieties of cloth when the British or the Europeans came to India as traders during 15th and 16th century itself. So now for all these crops to be grown, technology and what were the reforms in the institutions, how to practice, we shall learn in the coming module. Thank you.